Hey Aries, welcome to your quantum reading. This is for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to my crosswatchers. Crosswatcher. Maybe you're dealing with an Aries and really the message is for you, so take it however resonates with you in your situation. Keep in mind these are general and timeless readings. If you guys are wanting to check out any of my services, all my stuff is located down below in the description box, website link, whatever. And you can jump over on Instagram, chilling over there. I just post more things on quantum physics and crazy stuff over there. And thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing. Thank you for all the ways that you've supported the channel. Let's dive in. Okay, this is... I love what I'm picking up on so far. This is so fascinating. Okay. Aries. Alrighty, Rue. So it looks like you're interacting in whatever the heck you want to call it. You could be dealing with the ethers or like the 5D. This might be very trippy. Okay, like this is legit where you start to believe in like quantum physics and stuff, because you're like, okay, I was even reading a book by one of my favorite authors, and he was even talking about like the quantum physics of dealing with the ethers, and that he was talking about the 4 elements, and then how like, well, actually he was talking about 5, but he was talking a little bit about like even physicists will acknowledge the ethers. I just thought it was so like confirming, because people will listen to it from a physicist, but not from the spiritual people. So there's that. You have the sageness coming in, okay, which to me is a sage is like some kind of energy providing wisdom. You're either doing that in a particular way or you're looking to another one for some kind of like, a sage to me is someone that has some kind of advice, or they know how to handle the situation. But it feels like to me that you're receiving this in the ethers. So you're either giving someone some kind of like knowledge or awareness, or like maybe it's even advice, because you might be able to see into a situation that another person can't really see out of, but you also have the self. How fascinating. Okay, I feel as though there's a particular energy around you and you see a lot of yourself in this person and vice versa. You might feel like there's something like very interesting going on, because I get that there's a lot of self-observation that you're going through, but you're like seeing a reflection of who you're dealing with, but you're looking at these different aspects of yourself. Okay, I don't know how that's... Let me dive in, hold on. Okay. Maybe there's even the opposite coming in. Someone could be giving you some kind of energetic advice, but it feels like it's more coming in from the ethers. Like, so you guys probably have some kind of, if this is like a psychic ability or you feel like it's kind of telepathic, it feels like you're receiving it in a different avenue, maybe even through dreams, but you got this parallel universe. Okay, how fascinating. So Aries, it feels like for a significant amount of time, you've been caught up in some kind of patterns, and it looks like you're trying to end them for a while, and now you've got this whole awareness. You've got like, this sageness is like some kind of energy where you keep receiving all of this deep advice, and it's really helped you to come to a level of self-awareness that you're like, wow, like you see yourself in a different way completely, possibly connected to someone else, and it feels like you're observing a particular person. Maybe you're like paying a lot of attention to them. Wow, like so much cosmic craziness is going on. And then you've got the retrograde. Okay, so I feel as though you're connecting with someone, but you're also, how do I say this? You might feel like this person is bringing up old memories, or you feel maybe this person that you could be interacting with, you either have a history with them, because the retrograde is bringing something back around for you, maybe to take a different look at or to reevaluate in some specific way. It feels like it's the Pluto energy. So, and this parallel universe, okay. I feel as though something is in your midst and you're kind of flirting between like past and new energy. And you've got this cosmos where you feel like there's a specific connection coming in. And you've got these two alternate realities that you could have like, one is currently lit up, which feels like to me that you're in a current grid system or a current like frequency, and it feels like you have all this awareness and now you're just kind of trying to figure out how to move through it. But not all aspects of your situation are completely moving forward like very fluidly. Does that make sense? So some of you guys also could be dealing with a person and a past issue comes back around, and but I was also seeing there's another reality or another completely different frequency. It's made itself present. So maybe that's a completely different relationship dynamic that you haven't ever had this specific kind. It feels like you've had all these old patterns that you've been involved in, but you had to get all this, like, you had to take a look at yourself in all these different ways. But now there's these two realities that are presenting themselves to you. This one hasn't been activated quite yet. I think mainly because you're still on the frequency of whatever this is talking about. But there's something fascinating here going on where I feel like something is going on in the ethers or even connected to the cosmos. Like, seriously, some of you guys could feel like, what the freaking heck? It feels so almost energetically divine in some way that it's lining up. You can't even really explain it, but you feel like there's a significance, or there's an aligning happening with the cosmos, like almost how the planets line up. Have you guys ever seen in Hercules when like all the planets align and it like enters why am I saying this? It almost like opens up this portal when, you know, like there's this whole prophecy that manifests and you know, all the big giant bad guys come out of the portal, and like, I don't know what I'm saying. That's literally the visual I was getting with the cosmos, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. But I was getting like a bunch of Greek mythology stuff with it. Okay, very fascinating. Okay. See, this feels like to me this sage energy. You might be looking up to a particular person. Here's the Empress and the Queen of Swords. Interesting. So it's like you might feel this connection to a particular person, but you might have to put some boundaries up at this time, or this person has done that or has that with you. Because yeah, I think that what's happening here in this dynamic is there could have been a significant loss recently. Some of you guys could have felt like, I don't know if you felt some regrets, you could have felt like you lost some time, but I do feel as though you're like getting back into the present moment and just taking advantage of what you can do right now, because you're in the Fool energy, which is very much an Aries energy in general. But you might just, you know, need to put some boundaries up at this time, maybe with a particular energy that you had been looking up to, because maybe you feel like you experienced some losses because you were too energetically tied to another person and you experienced some of their emotional stuff subtly. Okay, you have the Strength card. You have the Two of Swords, Ten of Swords. That's the good Ten of Swords. And you've got the Nine of Swords right there with it. Okay. Oh. I don't know if you guys are dealing with an Aries. Wow. Okay, give me a second. You have the Six of Wands right here. Okay, so in your mind, you might be going through a lot of different things as far as if you're receiving a lot of attention, you might just be going through the process of what that feels like, because when you get out there in the spotlight, you deal with so many different lessons and frequencies that come at you, like you're just going through that process, okay? Because this Queen of Swords is also saying that it's you're receptive, you're trying to stay open to what comes forward towards you, and some of you guys might have like a lot of strong feminine energy that's coming in towards you. Some of you guys also might be putting boundaries up with like a mother, okay? Because maybe you've experienced some kind of loss because you got really tied up to, it could have been a parent over the past few years. That's a total reality. And you might have felt like you lost out on something, you know, but I think it's okay. I don't like to dwell too much on the Five of Cups. I think that there's always a ship that will come in, you know, like opportunities are very abundant. You could have lost out on some, but there's many more that are open and available. So keep your attention on that. You just got to try to keep your head up and stay away from that loss as much as you can and take advantage of what is there around the present. You've got Eight of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. That's fascinating. And then, wow, the Justice and the Emperor. Okay. This is very fascinating. So, Aries, I feel like what you could be dealing with is what I was talking about briefly with the Six of Wands. You could be dealing with a lot of different emotional reactions to you stepping in some kind of spotlight situation and just receiving good energy, good and bad. Okay, like it could just be a bit of a mixed bag of stuff. All right. And I feel like one of those dynamics is you could be like, you're juggling a lot of different stuff right now. And I feel as though there's a couple of different energies that one of them, at least one, okay, this is what's surrounding you, okay? There's one energy that you feel like you've got to keep the boundaries toward in order to step into this new frequency, right? The parallel universe, you literally had the Fool card come out. This is like you're aware that it's like floating around you, but you've got to maintain the boundary, right? Like that really does require a lot of strength, and you'll feel that at times. There's moments where it's like your kryptonite. You literally feel like a weakness come over you, and every time you can move through that energetically and stay either in a no contact or hold the boundary from continuing a pattern, you're getting closer and closer to a new type of dynamic that you've never tasted before. This is something that you could have thought like for a long time, this is the only thing I'm ever going to experience. But no, like you just had to come to certain, maybe you had to see yourself accurately, or you might also be coming in contact with another energy. Like I said, you might see a lot of yourself in another person. And that might be why you're energetically drawn. Like this cosmos thing could have been that you and a person are like, you happenstance. It was like serendipitous, or the way you could have come across this particular energy. But I do think that there could be this thing you could have been dealing with recently. This almost feels like a tug of war or a push and pull dynamic that you had with a particular person that you could have felt like, I think that there's a person here that you feel like is very strong. Like there's another energy around you that has a certain level of strength, or it feels bigger than you. And do you know what I've seen playing out recently is that you can have all these lessons, which is the sageness, right? You're learning some kind of wisdom or experience in a particular avenue, and it feels like you could have dealt with someone, you could have taken a risk in some way, or you could have confronted your fear, you know, like as you're disconnecting from some energy that has supplied some kind of comfort or knowledge or wisdom to you. as you're coming into your own energy or shifting into something new, this could be something that you come across energetically that you are like for some of you guys, if this is a mother that you've kind of energetically disconnected from because you're coming into yourself or you're trying to kind of individuate, that means that when you separate yourself, if you'd become too like close to that person and really entangled in their own fears and their own stuff, there's this experience, this is going to come up. These are like horcruxes. I call them hunting horcruxes because like there's this energetic thing that's going to come up from the surface where you actually see the fear. Like sometimes you can see ancestral fears materialize in front of you and come up in experiences, and you move through this. This is just a freaking card. To go through it emotionally is a completely different story, but it does strengthen you. It strengthens your character. It makes you less like triggering and all this stuff. And I'm seeing something between an interaction here, which I find very fascinating. This is Libra and this is Aries, but it's not coming out as the Empress. It's actually coming out that there could be a dynamic going on here, Aries, between you and another person. What you could be shifting back and forth between like feminine and masculine aspects when it comes to a particular dynamic. At first, there's kind of this combination between the energy coming in fast spurts, which means there could be messages coming in and then there's like a time lapse in between, so it like almost slows down, and this is a slow development. I'm not totally sure what it's leading to, but the Justice card is saying like this is more, Empress is very nurturing. Wow, actually the Empress did come out, so that's freaking crazy. You could have an Empress around you and maybe you both are just like learning the boundaries in this situation, because this is very new. It's almost like you and a particular person don't even totally know how to navigate one another because it's completely new territory. You're like, what the freaking F? Like, what do we do here? And so there's like, you know how the Emperor is associated with a chessboard? There are specific movements that are taking place, but they come up naturally, and you might be realizing that from self-care, because Justice is all about balance. And every time you come into an internal balance, there's a movement or a shift that takes place at a different angle, because and that is coming in some very fascinating particular way. This is reflective of a new cycle that you're going to move into. That's just what I have to say. And that's why I would like, if you guys need more motivation to hold a boundary up or learn to maintain boundaries, I think there's a particular connection coming in, and you're going to want to have good boundaries, because I think this is a relationship you'll actually want to explore, because it might have a deep, soothing kind of influence on you, just to even feel understood or accepted by a person. Because I get that you feel like, whoa, you're gonna understand a particular person on a deeper level, which might actually be changing you a little bit. How you would normally react to people, you're like maturing in some way. Also in not only your boundaries, but the way that you articulate yourself is going to go through some kind of transformation. That's in this process right now, because you could have been realizing like, you know, maybe you went through some losses here and you're like shiz, and now you've just gotta come into these dynamics very differently. There's this whole awareness around that, because you're gonna see things play out. And this sageness, it's just wisdom. Sometimes it's more wise, even though you are very good at doing something, like either communicating the truth of something, that doesn't always mean it's wise. Wisdom is a completely different frequency. And that could be something that you're learning here in this situation. Interesting. Let me dive into the extended Aries. If you guys want to join me over there, feel free. Go down below, click on the Vimeo link, see it over there. But If this is where we leave things, sending you so much love, wishing you all the very best. See you in your next reading. Take care.